Before we go on to do any more coding, I'd just like to discuss div, ID and class. And the reason for this is just to kind of give you a bit of background regarding these things that we can use in order to help develop our page in conjunction with CSS. And what we need to first of all just bear in mind is if you're using like a straight element within the HTML, for example H1, and you specify it to be blue, then every H1 element you have within your page and every other page that is linked to that HTML file, or sorry, CSS file, is going to be blue, which could be what you want, but is unlikely to be what you want. So what we can use is first of all ID and class, and we use these to make them basically unique, and we can call these items so that we can say we want them to be styled differently than other elements. And what we can also do is make classes, and we can put them on different elements. So for example, it doesn't have to be just a header 1, it could be a header 1 or a paragraph, or whatever you want to be styled in that certain manner. So that makes it very useful. So the difference between ID and class is that ID should be used when you have a instance of that particular type of styling, and you're not going to use it again on that page. So I always kind of think in my mind ID could be individual, for example, whereas a class is something that you'll use potentially multiple times on your page. So this is what they actually look like when we come to make it. So for example, if you're using these within a paragraph tag, you would put ID equals 1 or class equals 1, and you could have both ID and a class called 1 within your CSS, and you would refer to it in your CSS like this. And it will make more sense when we actually start to actually do this, but I just want you to be aware of it before we start doing it, because it is something you will need to think about, because ultimately this is a very well used method of styling web pages. Div tags slightly different in that they're more containers for parts of your code, parts of your page, and it's a good thing to get used to when you're trying to lay out a web page. So for example, you may have a div container that you float on the right, and then you have a div container that you float on the left hand side, and then all of a sudden you have your 2-column layout, which again is a quite common method, and one that we'll have a look at later on in this tutorial set. So yeah, I would just like you to think about the use of ID in classes and the use of div tags. I always again think of div tags as the division of the web page, and there are any number of different things that we can do in terms of styling things within these div tags, and we will look at these as we go through the next few tutorial sets.